So, I was scrolling today and I came across this powerful video that I would like to share with you all. And we're going to do things a little bit differently. So, listen closely to all of the details. Try not to invest and immerse yourself in what's being said emotionally, but listen to the facts. This may be triggering because it is a topic about single motherhood, and in particular, a woman in specifics experience with single motherhood. And I want you to listen to all of the details and really consider how you would handle this situation and why. And at the conclusion of this clip, I'm going to go over my thoughts on the video. This is going to be a healthy discussion. This is not judgment or shameful, but considering the outcome of the decisions you will make in regards to your children. Here we
My
go.
kids don't need their father in their life. If the quality of your happiness as a single mother is tested on a constant basis, can you make the decision that the children do not really need him around? If the way that he treats you is detrimental to your mental and emotional health, do you have to make that decision? I was married to my children's father and I had been with him since I was 12 years old. After making the decision to divorce my ex-husband, he was very emotionally and mentally abusive to me. I used to make the excuse all the time, like, my kids need their father, they need their father. But at what cost? I used to get so angry and I used to go into these deep, dark spaces every time I had to deal with him. By the time my kids came home to be with me, I'm depleted emotionally. It even went so far that I would talk badly about my kid's father in front of them. And then I had to make the hardest decision that I really did not want to make. After sitting and thinking to myself, this is not what I want for me. If I have to continuously allow myself to be damaged in such a way, how much good am I going to be for my kids? And as a single mom, of course, we're looking around to all the women that are around us, whether they're married or maybe they have children and maybe them and their children's father aren't together. But the co-parenting goes well for them. And I never saw myself being a single mom, literally with their father out of the picture. I never saw this coming. But when I tell you, I am the happiest I have ever been with him outside of the picture. Are my kids sad about this sometimes? Absolutely. I'm sure they think about it quite often. But am I my best self with them? Absolutely. They get a better quality of a mother from me because I'm not being abused. I'm happy. My spiritual relationship with God is amazing. There are a lot of mothers and a lot of single mothers out here that sacrifice the quality of their happiness when it comes to their children just to have the children's father around. I refuse to be one of them. Now, I don't know what the future may bring. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe someday we will come to a place where we can get along, where I can respect him and he can respect me. And we can co-parent like adults and be the best version of ourselves for our children. But until then, it ain't happening.
Now, I understand the position. I empathize with the position. And a lot of single mothers share this perspective. But what is actually being communicated when this perspective is what it is? What you're essentially saying is, I choose myself over the well being of my children. And I know it hits hard to hear, but let me tell you what I hear. There's been no communication that this man is physically or verbally abusive to the children. There's been no communication that says that they're in a danger being around him. I would have to double check, but I could have sworn she said during their marriage, he was a great father. So, what that means is, as far as these children know, he is a wonderful man. The only negative is connected to mommy's experience. So, what mommy is saying is, because I feel like I've suffered in this relationship, I feel like he's treated me like this in this relationship, my mental and emotional well being has been compromised and has put me in a situation where I'm a less effective parent to my children. When they go visit him and they come back to me, I'm depleted. I have nothing to give them. And I'm the happiest that I've ever been now that I've kind of created some distance there. What you are saying, love, is that even though you understand that your children are sad and they think about it often, because you are happy, that's all that's important. The difference between you and your children is that your children need to be raised by this man. You do not, because you are an adult that has already been raised by whoever took care of you. So for you to take it upon yourself to say that the children don't need the other part of the contributing factor to their life source, because that same person is unkind to you, it really is flawed logic. Even though I can understand why that could be created in a person's mind. As the parent, when you have children, your children's well-being comes first. And we're not saying your children's well-being comes first, meaning that I could say your father affects my mental well-being, so therefore I have to keep all of us away from him. What that means is, if you find it necessary to not be in a romantic relationship with their father anymore, it means you create distance for yourself dealing with this man. It means if you need to go to some type of mediation to where somebody facilitates you dropping off the children and picking them up so you guys have limited dialogue between each other, then that's just what it needs to be. But that has nothing to do with separating the children from their father. It says that not only does he have maybe poor communication because you said it was abusive, you have poor coping skills. You don't do well with stress management. You retain a lot of this experience and have turned it against your children in certain aspects, which means you operate in an unhealthy way when you're stressed, when you're coping, when you feel like you're being abused. And let's be clear, I'm not assuming that you're the victim here just because the word abuse was used. What I am saying is, in most situations, relationships are argumentative amongst both parties. And if one person gets to tell their story, it will sound like an abusive or verbally abusive altercation, whether it's man or woman or not. And I'm not saying that this is a false testimony, but what I am saying is that at no point has the actual issue between you and the children's father been described. You're just labeling it abuse. So we have no idea what actually happened between you two. So it's unnecessary for us to get emotionally involved because you use that word. Because for all we know, it could be excessive arguments. And it could be anything. And that can be labeled as abuse. A person will label abuse something, a negative experience that they don't like to happen. That doesn't make it so. And stress can incapacitate your mind and have you directing your energy negatively towards other people. Stress can do that. Lack of ability to cope with stress can do that. Anxiety and depression can do that. And those things can come by way of not knowing how to deal with your own emotions. It may not be caused by your ex. It may be caused by the fact that you have your own trauma and have not cleansed yourself of that trauma. But most people don't have enough self-awareness to be clear on what's causing all of this imbalance within us. All we know is it's connected to a negative experience with another person. Typically, we tend to blame the other person for everything that goes on inside, not realizing that a portion of that is created from our own making and from our own thinking and our own insecurities. Now, by no means am I saying if you're in an abusive relationship, you should stay in a relationship because you have children, because that is something that I can't, that's not a decision I can make for you. However, even in the situation to where you get out of the relationship, if you have not witnessed that same conduct with the children, making it an issue that the children have with their father, even though it's an issue that you have with the father, is completely unfair. And again, this is someone that you chose. So trying to filter your children's experiences only prolongs how they learn about how the world exists. Even if this person is like a lot of women I see, they say he makes a lot of promises and he doesn't keep those promises. There are people in this world that do not keep promises. And even though their father is that type of person, and you don't want them to have that experience, when they walk past their father into the world, they're going to find out some people don't keep their promises. So as much as you may want to protect your children from somebody who doesn't keep their promises and doesn't keep their word, those people exist. So it's actually better for you to be a parent in those moments and express that to your child. I understand, baby, it hurts your feelings. I understand it's very disappointing. Unfortunately, there are some people that do one thing and say something else. And sometimes when that happens, it can feel like a big letdown. It can happen for a number of reasons. Some people just do those things, while other people have reasons for why these events may transpire. So I understand how you feel. Do you want to talk about it? Next time you have a conversation with visitation, it's time to go see your father, and you let your child express whether or not they want to go or they do not want to go, whether they want to call or whether they do not want to call. A child knows full well when they're done feeling a different type of way, and they will tell you themselves, I don't want to go over there anymore. It's not fun. We don't do anything. I'd rather stay home. A child will get very vocal about their wants and needs when they feel they need to be communicated. It's not necessary to speak for them. As a parent, it's your job to teach them how to use their words. So when they're in an uncomfortable experience, when something is happening that they don't want to happen, they can express that to you and build and have a bond and trust in you that you'll take their emotions seriously because you have taught them how to be very intentional about how they feel and how they express how they feel. Protection comes into play when it's, in a sense, bigger than an emotional challenge, or you know what I mean, like something that can cause trauma. And don't get me wrong, when I say trauma, can negative experiences cause trauma? Yes, but what causes the trauma is not being able to deal with and understand the course of events in a healthy manner. And sometimes people's narrative about what took place could cause the trauma. So, yes, it creates upset to hear somebody make a promise and then not keep that promise. But a child, in most cases, is not traumatized by that. It's something that hurts them and creates upset and sad emotions. And as the mother, you're supposed to be the healthy person to sit with them and talk to them about how to deal with sadness, how to communicate about that sadness, how to assess that sadness, and how to direct that in a healthy way, and how to heal that so it doesn't sit there and build up over the course of time. Yes, we would all as parents like to say that we keep our children from every hurt that could possibly exist in the world, but actually attempting to do that enables children. It enables people in general. That's why we have adults that are not fully developed, because they have not had experiences. They have not been taught things. They have been hindered, and they have been babied and spoiled, and all of these situations have been created around them because the people around them that were in charge of their development created a different reality for them. They needed to be protected so much that they didn't have experienced. They're loved so much that they don't have certain experiences. They're in fear of certain situations, so they're protected from certain experiences. All of these things have the same outcome, that the child doesn't get to know what they're capable of. They don't get to strengthen different characteristics about themselves because the caregivers around them insist that their rationalization is what's best for the child, when in reality, what's best for the child is being confident in themselves. What's best for the child is knowing how to navigate negative situations. What's best for the child is learning how to express themselves in a healthy moment. In a healthy way, and not to build up resentment, not to be bitter, not to be vindictive, not to not know how to cope with disappointment and stress, but to know what those things feel like, how to talk about them, and how to grow past them is the ultimate job of the mother in the household. So even though you may be a single mother, it doesn't mean that the core and the foundation of what your purpose is as one of the two parents no longer exists. I feel like a lot of women, they separate from the father of the child, and they focus so much on the protection part, which is typically the father's role for the child, instead of remembering their own role for the child. And things get a little crazy there because they put so much energy into the protection part of it that they forget to nurture and support the health and well-being of their child mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. They get so much into protection mode that they will protect them into not having the wherewithal and the know-how and the mental fortitude and the emotional intelligence that they should have. And then they go out into the world incapacitated, and then they get into unhealthy relationships and repeat the same cycles, because the idea of being protected was put before ensuring your children know who they are, and they have built up strength and capability and consistency in different areas of their character so they can withstand the challenges of life. Because those challenges start as soon as you start dealing with living life. And that can look like anything, including your parents. And I get that it does hurt that some of the pain to your children might come by way of one of the parents. But the truth is, even as their mother, there is pain that your children will experience by way of you, because you don't know it all. You can't protect them from everything that comes from you and may hurt them. And who is around to shield the children and distance the children from you in the spaces where you need to be healed, in the spaces where you need to be better, in the spaces where you are not beneficial to your own children. And they exist within everyone because yin and yang exists. The good and the bad exists in everyone. So to see a negative phase in your partner or your ex and then utilize that as a reason to keep your children separate is the very same excuse somebody can create to keep your children from you, because we all say it, nobody's perfect and we're all human. So that is the lesson you should be teaching your children as they're navigating life and dealing with the possible inconsistencies of their parents. You're supposed to be building strength in your children, not teaching them reasons to steer clear and run away from and keep their distance from certain aspects of life, because running from things you do not want to experience is not going to build up your stamina stamina and your capability when it comes to enduring these things, because eventually you will have the experience. And if you have not built up your ability to navigate it properly, your trauma will occur. It just will occur much later in your life. So let's be parents and really understand what we're trying to create for our children instead of focusing on what we think we're trying to do and not knowing how to get there.